right, welcome back to Robinhood Stock Market Watch List. My name is Carlos, and today is Monday, January 29th, 2024. It is shortly after noon Eastern Time, or after 9 a.m. On the Pacific Time. And so in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the most active stock options to see where the money's going. And so one of my favorite websites that I like using is a website called Bar Chart. And so we can see that Tesla is number one with a 1.3 in options volume overall. And then we have the SoFi, which is a stock that we've been talking a lot about in our previous videos. And so here it is up 16%. And so it's been fluctuating right around $9. I believe some of the activity we were seeing on strike prices was like right around $10 or so. And so it is just about there. And so, but it's earnings time. And so now, typically for those that are more experienced, like myself, normally what we'll see is that this is now already priced in with the experienced investors knowing that it's going to beat its earnings, and it may, but we'll see that it could possibly plunge, and a lot of people are going to be questioning themselves, how come it's going down? They had good news. Well, you know, it's because it's already priced in, knowing of what is most likely going to happen. And so and we can see out of this activity that SoFi has about 71.6% in calls ratio, over 28% with puts. And so a lot of people are very bullish with this, as they have been recently. And so Tesla still almost about 50-50. You know, there's a lot of, it's a great straddling stock, definitely one of my favorites. And then NVIDIA, third place, is up about 354,000 in options volume, which is significantly a lot less compared to these top two. Apple is about 314. However, NVIDIA has about 60% call ratio over 40% puts, and so that's a good ratio. A lot of people are very bullish on that. And then taking a look at AMD, same thing, 64% calls, and so AMD is down a little bit now, but it was up right around 2% this morning, and so it may go back on track on its original course. And so I think just some of the news kind of spooked some investors with the the Tesla, I think, buying their microchips and stuff. And so usually we'll have buy on rumor, sell on news. So we may have that selling news effect kind of going on there. And so, but it could easily recover. A lot of people are betting on it, and so to be determined. And so and then Lucid. I mean, Lucid did a really good today, up 18%, very underappreciated. It's up to about $3 right now, and could have a lot more to go. But it kind of affects some of the others like Tesla and Rivian. Both of these are up 2.5%. And so, but Rivian, out of everything here that we see, Rivian has a very, very unusual amount of a call ratio at over 90%. That is very rare, almost unheard of. But this is very rare. A lot of people are betting that Rivian's going to go up, and so we'll take a look at if we can find more activity on some of these guys here in just a moment, and we'll take a look at some of the anything else that may seem a little unusual Now, we're trying to identify anything unusual that's something that's beyond our kind of a 60-40 ratio, or things that are not normally on this list. When we're looking at this list, that's what's really nice, is that we can kind of memorize it and can identify things that are not normally on here, or things that are not normally on here and then all of a sudden pop up, and knowing, since we've been doing our due diligence of which ones are going to have their earnings coming up. So like Pfizer and Google and Meta, Microsoft. And so Microsoft, they're up just a little bit, up almost a percent, and they got 70% call ratio with about 30% puts. And so, but let's take a closer look at the individual most active stock options. So that's going to be under our stock options volume leaders. And so, unlike looking at it over the weekend, all of the ones that have expired have been removed. And so these are all active stocks right now. And so this $190 call strike price with Tesla is the most active individual call or put for today. It holds the most volume at 116,000 versus the SoFi, which has a $9 call, has 110,000 in options volume, both leading the board significantly in volume. Both have the same expiration date this Friday, February 2nd. And so, but SoFi also has another call strike price with the same expiration date for $9.50. So that gives us a little clue, as well as there's a put for SoFi right here for $9. So it looks like it could be a little bit of a straddling, a little bit of insurance, but they're more bullish, as you can see, than they are bearish. Or maybe there's just people kind of betting one way or the other, but we can easily see that. I would say that this is more or less kind of about 20% bearish and 80% bullish when it comes to these. And there's another call right down here, so adding that in the mix, maybe it's more 15% bearish and 85% bullish for SoFi, just looking at these numbers here. And so this is definitely got to be on our watch list if it isn't already. We've been talking about this in our previous videos, but Tesla is definitely all over the map here. Rivian, we have a $16 call strike price that expires in 32 days on March 1st. It definitely has a very good amount of open interest and now volume, 63,000. Now, out of everything here, this has the highest open interest, 60,000, 63,000. That's a lot, and to add more than that, that's most likely just going to accumulate more into tomorrow. So we'll probably see the open interest on this over 100,000, and so that's going to be huge. And so a lot of people are probably betting that, hey, Lucid has its turn today. Rivian's turn might be tomorrow, or maybe the next day, or maybe the next week or so. And so we may see more activity on that, kind of like what we're starting to see like right down here. We have a $17 call strike price, and this one expires in 4 days. And so it looks like it's priced right around $15-16 right now, versus the other one, which is priced right around $140 per contract. And so that one seems to be a little bit more feasible. But this is very good information. Like I said, this is like our radar. We'd be blind, without knowing what's happening and what people are betting on. And so And then going down here on the bottom, we have NU. I believe they make the electric bikes over in China. But you know, it's interesting. I was at a Best Buy several weeks ago and saw like an electric scooter there in this brand, and I couldn't believe that. That this brand is selling here in the United States, and so that it will just help continue the company's growth. And we have, which is currently at $9.48 a share. We have people betting that it's going to reach $12 in about a year, next January. And so, you know, right now it has a low amount of open interest, but it has a lot of volume right now, 32,000. So by tomorrow, this will accumulate, and so this will eventually start trickling up the list with the most highest open interest. So let's take a look at that. Let's see where it's at the moment, or if it's still kind of the same as where it was in our last meeting here. So yeah, PayPal still in the top, 140,000 or $140 strike price that expires in a year. Then we have the Lucid. We have a put there, which is got 140,000 there, and so yeah, Lucid's up now a lot, and so we're seeing up possibly a lot of interest going on there. And then Sats. What was Sats? I cannot remember. Echostar Corporation, not a stock I'm familiar with, but there's a lot of people betting against it. Sats right now is at $13.64. We have a $5 put strike price that expires in a couple of years. And so it's definitely growing a tremendous amount of open interest. So we'll definitely have to keep a closer eye on that. I've seen people talk about Save recently. Spirit Airlines hasn't, been doing very well, and people are still betting against it. You know, it's currently at $6.20 a share. We have a $5 put that expires in a couple of years as well. And so, we talked about the airlines, especially the American Airlines, in some of our previous videos. These are not going to be doing well here in the future, as people are betting against them. They obviously know something that we don't, or maybe it's just part of the of a cycle. And so so going down the list, we have some others like Plug, which people are betting against. That one's obviously in the money. We have a Nikola. It looks like people are betting against on that one. Then we have the SoFi, which is at the $8.91 a share, but we have a $15 call strike price that expires in a year. And so it looks like it's priced right around $90 a contract, and so that seems to be very affordable, probably with a very little volatility as well. But it definitely has a growing amount of open interest. We have another PayPal, $145 call. These guys have not left, as we've been talking about these PayPal unusual activity in the last several weeks, and then they just had their innovation event last week. Hopefully you've watched their video. The CEO did an amazing job. Now, the Robinhood app, that was something we also talked about in our previous videos. The Robinhood, which was at $10, here it is now $11. It has a $20 call strike price. There's been some others activity that we've seen with a more of a sooner expiration. This one expires a year from now. But one of the reasons why I believe the Robinhood app will become more valuable is because of the volatility that we've been seeing with the stock market, but also the the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency has a 4-year cycle, and we're at towards the end of that cycle where it's going to reset. And anytime that it resets, this 4-year cycle, we go in this 2-year bullish phase, and then after the 2 years of this bull market, we go in this 1-year bear market where everything just goes down, and then after that last year. That's where everything just kind of is flat. It's boring. There's very little activity, and everyone's like saying, "Oh, it's dying. What should I do? Should I buy more? Should I sell?" And so, but we've finally been waiting all this time, and now, and that's why you've noticed in the last like 30, 45 days, the cryptocurrency has seen a lot of activity, a lot of volatility in the upwards direction, and that's just a fraction of what we're going to see. And when people are making a lot of money, they're referring their friends and family to do the same, and so it just adds more volume to the mix and value. And so this is we're going to see a lot of some great activity. Hopefully, we'll go back to some of these GameStop type of chaotic days where we're just making some massive news headlines, but so hopefully we'll see some fun times ahead. Coming up soon, but just be ready, for this volatility and this type of activity. Now, Meta, Facebook, which is currently at $400. This is something I've also mentioned in our Facebook group. There's a $600 call that expires in 2 years. And so, there's and Facebook has earnings coming up. We talked about that in our earnings video. And so, we talked about how Facebook, even though their revenue is down compared to previous years, the last few years actually, but their profit has gone up, and so they are a profitable company as they are basically been letting quite a bit of their staff members go. That way they can profit from it, but unfortunately, it has also affected our group with certain functions. But it is what it is. But there could be some other inside information. Maybe Facebook has something that they're coming out with that we just don't know about. Maybe investors in Wall Street or politicians know. But this is a 50% gain in a matter of a couple of years, which is pretty big for this company. And so, but going down the list, we also have Vail, which is $13.85 a share. We have a $15 call strike price that expires in a couple weeks. Nikola, there's a $1.50 call. There was the put right up here, so got a little bit of maybe some straddling going on there. Possibly Apple call, we have a $210 one there that expires here in about 46 days. And so there's a lot of other good ones here. Tesla, Apple, there's another SoFi, Alibaba, which is like an Amazon in China. They're very, very low. They're priced low right now, $73.32. We have an $80 call strike price, and so that expires here in about 46 days in the middle of March. They also have a very good amount of open interest. Open interest, again, is the total number of open contracts for the previous days that people have traded but not yet have liquidated via offsetting trades. It means people have bought it, they're holding on to it, they have not sold it yet. And so that's huge. And if you're not in stock options, that's fine. But open interest is a little different than a share because volume is today's buying and selling activity. When you're looking at shares, it doesn't show people that are holding. And so that's what open interest is, and so that way we can kind of put more pieces of the puzzle together to know maybe what's going to happen before it happens. So for example, here's an Apple right here. It's currently at $191. We have a $250 call strike price that expires next year. And so a tremendous amount of open interest that is slowly accumulating. And so we definitely need to make sure Apple is also on our watch list. So we'll go back to the most active options and we'll see if there's anything that has changed. Take a look at some of the activity here. Everything's kind of mixed. Everything's really high or a little bit low. And so Lucid is up 21% now, going very strong. And so we'll just kind of have to take a closer look at this. Then ETFs like SPY, we'll take a look at that. Looks like a majority of the investors are getting to be a little bearish. We have about almost just under 57% puts and 43% calls. But the thing with SPY traders is that they typically day trade. They get in, they get out, usually on the same day. We don't see a lot of people that hold the ETFs overnight. And so but there's still a good blend, but it looks like we're seeing a lot more bearish traders on the ETF side versus the stocks. Looks like we have more on the call side. And so since we've been looking a lot at the SoFi, let's take a quick look at the earnings analysis again for today, before or after the stock market closes. Let's see here. So again, investors are bearish going into the company's earnings release with a 72.2% expecting an earnings beat. So they're bearish because the price is high. It's already priced in. Option traders are pricing in an 18.8% price movement in either direction, and it's averaged right around 13.2%, and it could go up with a lot of the options activity that we've seen. A lot of people are betting that it's going to go up, and it definitely could. But why, if investors are bearish going into the company's earnings release? And so that's just kind of a red flag right there. Not all the stars are aligned with this one with me. And so, but I do see some volatility with this one. I'm going to straddle with this one, with this type of volatility, 18.8%. That we're expecting in either direction. But again, this is a lottery play. In case if it doesn't move that, there could be a possible implied volatility crush where we could lose on both the calls and the put side. But if it does move, this could possibly and potentially provide a tremendous amount of gains on one side over the other. And so we'll just have to kind of continue taking a close watch on the options activity, and but I will be in the chat room if you guys want to, if you guys have any questions or anything, you can kind of meet me in there. There we go. So or you can message me directly.